I talked to Ben Bernanke about this. If gold is not a monetary asset, why does the United States have 8,000 tons, 8,000 metric tons? Like, why don't you just have an auction and get the money, And they don't have a good answer for that. Well, the answer is that it still has a monetary role. They just don't want to talk about it. Now, take what I just said and combine it with my discussion about confidence in the dollar. I'm not saying we're going back to a gold standard right away, but here's where the $27,000 comes from. It's not a forecast in the sense of, sit tight, it'll hit $27,000. It's an answer to a question. If you had to restore confidence in the dollar, and if you had to go to a gold standard to do that, which we might, what would the price of gold have to be to make that work?
In an era of digital currencies and fiat money, the United States holds a staggering 8,000 metric tons of gold. This fact, highlighted by renowned economist Jim Rickards, raises intriguing questions about the persistence of the relevance of precious metals in modern monetary policy. Rickards, an acclaimed author of bestsellers like Currency Wars and The Death of Money, suggests that despite gold's official declassification as a monetary asset, its stockpile implies an ongoing, if unspoken, monetary role. This assertion gains weight when considering the historical context of America's gold accumulation. The roots of this vast reserve trace back to the Bretton Woods era, 1944 to 1971, when the US dollar was directly pegged to gold. During this time, the United States offered to safeguard other nations' gold reserves in exchange for dollars, resulting in an estimated 90 to 95% of the world's gold residing in American vaults. Although this system ended over 4 decades ago, the U.S. still maintains the world's largest gold reserve, with the yellow metal comprising over 75% of its foreign reserves. But why maintain such an enormous stockpile in a post-gold standard world? The reasons are multifaceted and strategic. Primarily, it serves as a financial bulwark against potential economic catastrophes. Additionally, a sudden sell-off of this massive reserve could trigger a market meltdown, causing gold prices to plummet and potentially destabilize significant banks. Interestingly, Rickards proposes a scenario where gold could be crucial in restoring confidence in the dollar. His calculations suggest a potential gold price of $27,000 per ounce if a partial gold standard were implemented to support the current money supply. While hypothetical, this underscores the latent power of gold in monetary policy. Tune in for our exploration of Jim Rickards' expert analysis. Don't miss out on future content. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay in the loop. We appreciate your support.
I talked to Ben Bernanke about this. If gold is not a monetary asset, why does the United States have 8,000 tons, 8,000 metric tons? Like, why don't you just have an auction and get the money, And they don't have a good answer for that. Well, the answer is that it still has a monetary role. They just don't want to talk about it. Now, take what I just said and combine it with my discussion about confidence in the dollar. I'm not saying we're going back to a gold standard right away, but here's where the $27,000 comes from. It's not a forecast in the sense of, sit tight, it'll hit $27,000. It's an answer to a question. If you had to restore confidence in the dollar, and if you had to go to a gold standard to do that, which we might, what would the price of gold have to be to make that work? And it's not complicated. I took M1. M1 is a pretty good definition of the money supply. It's broader than M0, but not as broad as M2. Take M1, ask yourself, how much backing do I need to support the dollar? You don't need 100%. The Austrians bang the table and yell 100%. Historically, somewhere between 20 and 40% is enough to maintain confidence. How much gold do we have? 8,133 tons. So with those inputs, you say, okay, if I have 8,000 or so tons, metric tons, and I need to support an M1 money supply of X with 40% gold, what would the price per ounce have to be in order to make that work? And the answer is $27,000. It's just, by the way, it keeps going up. I said the same thing 6-7 years ago, and I said $10,000. It's like, Jim, did you change your mind? I said, no, they expanded the money supply. In other words, if you change one of the inputs, you're going to get a different answer. So the reason the answer is a lot higher today is because the money supply is a lot higher. But take the money supply, take 40% of that, take 8,000 tons, divide the gold by the dollars, and the price per ounce is about $27,000. If you come up with a lower price, I mean, well, you won't. I mean, that's the math. That's eighth grade math. But or my day was sixth grade math, but whatever. But if you pick a lower price, you say, well, that's too high. We think it should be $5,000 an ounce. You can do it, but that is highly, highly deflationary. You would have to shrink the money supply to make that work, and it would be a new Great Depression. And that is a mistake that Churchill made in 1925. So to avoid the deflationary blunder, get it right, make it work. If you had to do it to restore confidence, the answer is $27,000 an ounce. So that's why I look at the confidence side of the equation. I was like, how are we doing there? And the answer is horribly. The U.S. is the greatest threat to the U.S. dollar.
The Brics alliance, originally comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is poised for significant expansion. Southeast Asian nations are now expressing keen interest in joining the bloc. This growth could dramatically reshape the global economic landscape and potentially challenge the dominance of Western financial systems. Thailand has already submitted a formal membership request, while Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has announced intentions to begin the application process soon. These moves follow the bloc's 2023 decision to invite Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates into its fold, signaling a strategic push for more significant global influence. The expanded group, which may adopt the Brics Plus moniker, is set to become a formidable economic force. Renowned economist Jim Rickards emphasizes the crucial nature of this expansion, particularly in establishing a potential Brics currency. Rickards argues that while bilateral currency agreements, such as Russia accepting Indian rupees for oil, have inherent limitations, a more significant economic bloc using a common currency becomes more practical and powerful. Let's get back to the interview.
And when he says it's the equivalent of losing a war, I agree with that, but I would go a step further and say it is a war. We're in a war. We're in a financial war right now. I know there's a kinetic war in Ukraine, kinetic war in Gaza, confrontations bordering on violence in the South China Sea. The Houthis have effectively closed the Suez Canal. So we have enough shooting wars going on, thanks to Biden and our failed foreign policy. But this is a financial war now, and I've talked to the Treasury and the Pentagon and the Fed and the intelligence community about 10, 15 years ago. We had these discussions, although not that anyone took it seriously when they should have. But a lot of what you're hearing has come out of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum that was held in St. Petersburg at the beginning of June. And Putin was there. Sergei Lavrov was there a couple of years ago. Like, nobody showed up because, Russia bad kind of thing. But now people realize that America is really the one prolonging the war in Ukraine, and Russia is, doing what they have to do to kind of protect their national security. They don't want to be backed into a corner. But now it's like, okay to go there. And there were delegates and delegations, attendees, experts, et cetera, from over 100 countries who were there. And that's where a lot of the update on the Brics currency was coming from. Now, the next Brics summit, we talked last summer, I was giving presentations on the Brics summit meeting in South Africa last August. But there's a rotating presidency. Mm-hmm. You host the Brics summit on a rotating basis. Yep. This year, it's Russia. And they're having this summit in October in Kazan in the Russian Federation. And what they're going to do is admit a lot more new members. We have the list of applicants. I don't know exactly which countries are going to join, but Turkey would be high on the list, and some Malaysia, and some other, maybe Saudi Arabia and some other important countries. But the point is, this is the key to making the Brics currency, whatever they call it, the unit or whatever, a very successful trading currency, and basically for trading, settling, balance of payments, et cetera, is to expand the membership in the group. So if you have two countries, Russia, let's just take Russia and India, for example, and Russia sells oil to India, which they're doing, and India pays in rupees, Indian rupees. Okay, that works. You don't need to go through SWIFT for that. You can use Russian bank accounts in Mumbai. But what's Russia going to do with the rupees? Well, they can buy a certain amount of chicken curry or whatever. But there's a limit on what you can do with the currency. So in a bilateral relationship where you agree to accept each other's currencies, that can work. It's not that difficult to do, but the problem is, what do you do with the currencies? Who really wants Russian rubles? Honestly, who wants Chinese yuan? Who wants Indian rupees? Now, but if you expand the membership, it's no longer 2 countries or 4 countries, but it's 20 countries. And all of a sudden you're Russia and you sell oil to India, but India pays you in the Brics currency, not Indian rupees, but in the new Brics currency. But Russia can take the Brics currency and spend it in China, or buy aircraft from Brazil, buy manufactured goods from China, buy oil from Saudi Arabia. Or, well, they don't need the oil, but other manufactured goods from Turkey, as the case may be. Well, once you expand the membership, now the currency is really useful. So it's not just limited to whatever one country can sell you. It's expanded to what 20 countries can sell you. Guess which monetary union has 20 members?
Right.
The euro. So people who say this can't be done, I'm like, hey, ever heard of the euro? It can be done very successfully. So the key is not, cooking up some formula, a gold standard exchange. Those are important issues. I'm not dismissing them, but I'm saying the real key is expanding the membership.
Current projections suggest that BRICS Plus members could collectively represent approximately 45% of the world's population, an astounding 3.5 billion people. Moreover, according to World Bank data, their combined economies are estimated to be worth around $30 trillion, accounting for 28% of the global economy. Following a Friday GDP report, BRICS founder Russia officially holds the largest GDP in Europe. The country's war-driven economy has seen a boom in 2024, and it's now the highest GDP in the continent regarding purchasing power parity (PPP). The World Bank also classifies Russia's economy as high income in a new report published this week. How will Russia's newly reported economic strength, combined with the potential expansion of BRICS to include Southeast Asian nations, impact the bloc's global influence and its ability to challenge the current Western-dominated financial system? Share your perspective in the comment section. If the video resonates with you, join our community by subscribing to our channel and enabling notifications with the bell icon. Thank you for being a part of our community.